Thinking about buying a car? Here are 7 smart steps to take before you decide. Learn how to make the right choice with confidence. Let's get some perspective. Welcome to another episode of Christian Financial Perspectives. My name's Shawn Peters. I'm joined as always by my co-host Bob Barber. And today we're going to be talking about the 7 things to consider before buying your next vehicle. And so we feel that this will be a really helpful one to cover, whether you've got a little bit of money or a lot of money or somewhere in between. First and foremost, we're going to go over our scripture, James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. Now, we do have one thing to cover before we get into the official 7 things, but we're kind of bringing this episode to you because this is, I would say, very close to Bob's heart, because these are things that he does. And Bob, I'd say you're probably one of the few people that kind of enjoy almost the game of buying a car.
It's unfortunately, but I kind of do.
Most of us get stressed out and frustrated with the whole process. So the idea here is we're going to hopefully try to glean from Bob's experience.
I played Monopoly when I was a kid.
And you actually loved it.
I loved it. I mean, I'm talking like 7 and 8 years old. I was playing Monopoly. So
that explains so much.
That's it. I mean, it's kind of like that. So
yeah,
I know it's a process and it can be so stressful, but Shawn, cars are so expensive today, and vehicles and
crazy expensive.
Yes, we've had several clients recently buy trucks, and I'm like, $50,000 and $60,000, and these are not the loaded
if you're lucky
trucks
for a truck.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, Bob, we live in a world now where you can buy a Kia that's $60,000, and that's the normal price.
Yeah.
If you told me that 10 years ago, I would have said you're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's true.
Yep.
Anyway.
So the first thing, I mean, we're going to have 7 things that we're going to talk about when buying a car. This is not the first one, but it kind of is the most important thing that I see.
Yeah. It's coming to this with the right mindset, I guess is how you want to consider.
That's right. So use your savings to buy a car, not your investments. A car is a depreciating asset, right, Shawn.
And for those who aren't up to date on their financial terms, depreciating meaning it goes down in overall value over time.
Yeah, cars go down and investments go up. So
over time.
Don't take something that's growing and appreciating to put it into something that is depreciating
and losing value over time.
An example of this is just take the $50,000 car,
which is probably average, I would say, nowadays.
And you've got your long-term investment plan, let's say a balanced or a moderate portfolio, making 6 or 7% a year, and so through the Rule 72's compound interest, we've shared that on some other programs. That 50. Now, if you take that 50 out of the investment plan, it's not going to double to 100 in like 10 years, and it's not going to double to 200 in like 20 years. So I always think of it this way.
So over 20 years, the $50,000 could fairly easily grow to $200,000 in value,
based on historical results.
Right.
That's right.
So if you take that $50,000 out of your investment portfolio to buy a car, how much is the car going to be worth in 20 years?
I'm guessing 10 or 15,000 at the most.
Yeah. Seems about right.
Would anybody want to be an investment plan where you're guaranteed to lose every single year? I mean, no, not at all.
No.
But people do that with vehicles, and it's just amazing how much money is wasted on vehicles. Yeah. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go over the 7 things to do before you buy your next vehicle, and hopefully this will at least help you some in saving $5,000 or $10,000 when you're buying that next vehicle.
I think what we just covered, Bob, kind of brings up a side point, if you will. But if your only real option, after we cover all these things, if your only real option to buy a car is to take money out of your investment portfolio, then don't buy the car in the first place.
Right.
Or you need to significantly lower your expectations of the kind of car that you want. You don't need the new $50,000 car. Maybe you need to get a used, not as nice of a car, because we understand, like, you have to have a vehicle nowadays.
Right, you do.
especially if you have a growing family. But that does not mean you need to spend anywhere near $50,000.
No, you could
on
buy
the
a
car.
3 or 4-year-old car that maybe has 50,000 miles on it, has another 150 to go.
Yeah, exactly.
150,000 miles to go. Now, I understand some of you don't have the savings either. So if you are you're just absolutely going to buy one, go talk to your credit union about the best interest rate deal you can get. I wouldn't use the dealership because they may have higher rates.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now on
Here
to the
we
main
go.
event.
All right.
Now the 7 things before buying that next vehicle. Number 1, select the vehicle you want first and foremost by test driving a few at a dealership. But here's the kicker.
Yes.
Whatever you do, please do not buy for at least another 3 to 4 weeks. It will save you thousands of dollars.
It will. I've seen it over and over. Do not let those emotions get involved. Get away from that dealership. Just find the car you want first,
Bob,
because there's going to be a whole lot going
Why should they wait 3 to 4 weeks and not buy that first day at the dealership? Well, it's because the dealers
that's right.
are not going to give you the best price on that first day.
Yeah.
You want them to sweat a little bit.
That's
And
right.
try to move that product off of their lot. So you give them a few more weeks. You don't look desperate. So you're negotiating from a position of power.
That's right. They just keep lowering and lowering and lowering the
They
price.
want to get you in. Yep. So number 2, after finding the exact make, model, color, and year that you're wanting to buy, search multiple websites. You want to get a good idea of what that car is actually worth, what it's going for in the market right now. So cars.com, Auto Trader, Edmunds, there's a lot of them.
And do it within about they'll give you a mile radius. Do it within about a 500-mile radius, not just your local area. A car, like, again, it's a $50,000 investment. Well, it's not really an investment. What would you call a car?
It's a necessary expense.
It's a necessary expense. So
it's not an asset. It's not an investment.
So if you got to drive 7 or 8 hours to go get that car to save yourself $5,000 or $6,000, it's worth it.
Yeah,
definitely. Or just have it shipped.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it might even be worth it, because if you can save $6,000, might be $1,000 to ship it. Well, great.
You're going to be surprised in the variation in dollar amounts on one of these websites like cars.com or Edmunds.com or Auto Trader.
One kind of sub bullet point on this, though, is when you're searching, if you're looking at a car and you're seeing that make, model, color, everything, but similar mileage, and let's say the car is around $40,000 to $50,000 pretty much across the board. If all of a sudden you see a listing for $30,000,
that car's been damaged.
Or $25,000, probably it's one of those things where they're not being upfront about it, and there was something going on. And I actually learned that, thankfully not the hard way, but I learned that because I kept seeing for some of these used cars that Jen and I were looking at, like, man, why are some of these options like so much better, and the car seems to be in really good shape?
Yeah.
And then you find out, it's because they sell a lot of those almost like refurbished, because it was in a like water damage, or it was in an accident and it was totaled. Like, there's all kinds of stuff. So
it's the old saying, if it sounds so good to be true, it is.
Exactly.
Okay. So this third point, this is really something, I've done this a lot. Okay.
Yeah. If it's a new vehicle,
right?
If it's a new
vehicle. So if it's a new vehicle and you found exactly what you want, I have a Nissan Pathfinder now. I'd go to Nissan.
Go to the manufacturer's
website
and find up to 10 dealerships within a, say, 200 to 500 mile radius where you live. Then you're going to take those dealers and you're going to contact each one, preferably by email, because you want to get everything in writing. But you can initially, talk to them over the phone and tell them precisely what you want. Now, here's the kicker on this. You want to get the drive out price in writing via email. Do not even tell them whether or not you're considering a trade-in. Just say that's not relevant for the discussion right now. You're just looking for the best price. You may or may not trade in. That's all they need to know. Okay. So once you get that price, take the lowest price and let all the other dealerships know it. Do this 2 or 3 times, and you're going to you found more or less the lowest price when they're only coming back and dropping maybe $100. At that point, go to the closest dealer, the local dealer, see if they'll match it. Sometimes they will. Other times they'll say, "No, we can't match that." Which is fine. Then in which case, go to another one.
I've done this over and over, Shawn. And I mean, from the time I begin to the time I'm done doing this, there's about a $5,000 difference. I am amazed. And we're talking, y'all, just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So this is why it's so important to follow this process, to not buy that car that first day.
Mm-hmm.
You are literally throwing $4,000-$5,000 you're just throwing it away.
Right.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Number four, get educated. All along the way during this process, you want to get educated. So obviously this video is intended to try to help you with that, but there are also some other really awesome channels that are more dedicated.
I love, by the way, when we were starting this video, it was one of these that I watched. I said, they do such a great job. They're a father-son team.
Father-in-law, son-in-law, close enough.
But YAA, go on YouTube and put in YAA car buying, and they're really fun to watch too. They have about 10 or 15-minute videos, and they go through all of the things you need to be thinking about,
tricks and techniques that car dealerships will use. They've even done some almost like mock scenarios where the dad kind of pretends like he's the dealership, the car salesman guy, or he's the finance manager. And so they go through in more detail on a lot of things that we've kind of alluded to on this. So I think that's another really good one, is go through and just learn how, the tricks and these add-ons and all this other nonsense stuff that they're just trying to make money. That's because the dad
was in the car. He's been in the car business for a very long time. And, some examples they'll give you, and I'm going to give you right now, is don't ever buy a car just on car payment.
Yeah.
That's
the
crazy.
The price is what actually matters.
Right. Because the car payment, even though you may be buying a car on payment, what interest rate are they charging? How long are the terms? Okay. They really hark a lot on this on that program about the extended warranties and how what's a huge markup
and paint protection.
Right.
Yeah.
So these extras all have a lot of markup, and you just don't need them. Stay away
High
from
markup and little to no value. So
number 5, do not allow emotions at all to play into the vehicle deal. I know that's hard, but you've heard me say over and over that emotions have no place in financial transactions.
That's right.
They just don't have a place in it. Don't let the car person manipulate you. Folks, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to be putting down. There's some good car salespeople that even go to our church.
But they will try to be your best friend. They will tell you what you want to hear. Like Bob's been in the investment industry a long time, and he's heard it countless times of, well, what is it you do? Like, oh, that's really, I really need to talk to you about that. I really need to do some financial planning, or, I like that you guys are a Christian company. I really want to work with that. And then weird how after Bob bought the car that they never called him.
Never
they
one time.
Disappeared.
I've never had it happen one single time.
Yeah, but they're saying all this. They're doing this because they're paid on a commission. They have a significant conflict of interest to do what's in their best interest monetarily and not yours, all the way down to signing the paperwork in the finance office where they try to sell you more. So that sales guy is not your lifeline to make sure that the finance manager isn't raking you over the coals. They're still trying to close that deal.
And they're trying to sell you those extras. The finance manager gets paid based on that too. So throughout the whole thing, it's just you're spending extra thousands and thousands of dollars if you don't follow these guidelines that we're putting in place for you. Okay.
So be on your guard and be very suspicious until you are finally home with the new car. Or the new to you car.
And unfortunately, I'm sorry you have to do that, but you have to. Okay, number 6, do everything online if possible. This is where I said in the beginning, you go find the car that you want, but from that point, the only time you should step into the dealership again would be the day you buy it.
Yeah, or you're picking up the vehicle. Maybe you even sign the paperwork electronically, and so you're just walking in to pick up the keys and get a copy of the executed paperwork.
So many benefits to doing that. The emotions are not there. The price transparency is. You're not under pressure.
It's a lot more convenient.
Right. You get to read all the paperwork. Yeah. The speed, you get the selection of the vehicle that you want. So there's so many benefits to buying that car online. And then we come down to the 7th, and I think one of the most important points of buying a car, because it is one of the largest purchases you do in your life besides your home.
Pray about the decision.
Yes.
Because this is not a decision that you should be making quickly. It's not a decision that you should be making under pressure. There is no emergency to buy that car. It doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter how good the salespeople think the deal is.
And if it's broken down, you can go rent a car for a few days.
So pray about it. Seek wise counsel from someone with your best interest in mind, not a salesperson.
And integrate, because it's such a large purchase today, it needs to be integrated into a financial plan.
That's right.
In my opinion. As we get to the point, like I said in the beginning, over the years, vehicle purchases have cost people many hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost net worth in the future.
Yep, without anything really to show for it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Buying vehicles is usually the second largest expenditure that most people will make in life besides buying a home.
So let's end on the scripture we started.
That's right. James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and will be given to you. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to post stuff in the comments if there's any other topics that you want us to cover. It doesn't have to be about investments. If we can tie it to finance, we're happy to help. Thanks. God bless. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos just like this, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. If you have questions, you can visit our website, call, text us, or comment below. See you next time.